Sup, you beautiful bastards? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is a killer clown story that has popped up in the news, and no, this is not a joke. It's not one of those prank videos where someone was dressed as a clown just to freak someone out. This is a crazy story and actually starts in the 90s. So what happened? Well, May 26, 1990, Marlene Warren heard a knock at her door. And when she answered the door, she found herself face to face with a clown holding flowers and balloons. And I mean, the whole deal. Clown hair, nose, outfit. One of the balloons said, "You're the greatest." The other one had Snow White on it. And as Marlene went to accept the balloons and flowers, the clown raised a gun and shot her in the face. And reportedly, Marlene's two teenage sons, along with some of their friends, were witness to this. And while she didn't die on the scene, she was taken to the hospital and she died 2 days later. And initially, police suspected the husband, Michael Warren. This because friends and family said they were actually having problems with their marriage. And so the police investigate him, but they don't find any evidence that he was the one that murdered his wife. Instead, what they uncovered was unrelated evidence of crimes he had committed at his car rental agency. And in so 1992, he was found guilty of 43 counts of odometer tampering, grand theft, and racketeering. He served 3 years for this. He was then released, and he disappeared in 1997, only to resurface in 2002 when he married Sheila Keene. Then in 2014, the clown murder case is reopened. The old DNA they had was tested with new DNA technology. And based off of that, yesterday the Palm Beach County Sheriffs announced that they arrested Sheila Keene for that 1990 murder. It turned out Sheila Keene had actually worked at the husband's car rental agency at the time of the murder. And it also turns out that the police had been told about an alleged affair between Sheila and Michael a few months after the incident. And so there you go, after 27 years, it appears that her children are gonna get some closure. I mean, imagine how horrible and crazy that is for them. I mean, they as teenagers watched their mom get killed by a clown. Their dad goes to jail on unrelated charges. He gets out and then apparently marries the woman that murdered their mother. That was their stepmother, and then you find that out 27 years after it happened. Also, there's the question now of, did the husband know, or was it just this woman who made this choice? This whole story just feels like too much. Then, really quickly, let's talk about the Streamy Awards yesterday. Now, by now, you might have heard we didn't win Show of the Year. I cried myself to sleep. I actually didn't. Congratulations to Sugar Pine 7, of course, the leader over there, Steven Suptic, doing really cool stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes, and if I was going to lose to anyone, I'm happy it was them. Some of the other winners we saw, we had the Breakout Artist of the Year. That went to David Dobrik, beating out the likes of Jake Paul. Best in Comedy, we saw Liza Koshy beat out the likes of H3H3 Production. As you imagine, the internet had a lot of different opinions about that. But that's also understandable considering how big of a space YouTube is. I mean, in this situation, we're talking specifically about H3H3 Productions and Liza Koshy. Maybe there's some crossover there, but often what you'll see on the internet is people becoming massive with their pillar of followers that maybe just aren't into this other thing. Their styles are different, people's personal preferences are different, and there are a lot of other winners. I'm not gonna go through every category. And I wanna leave this story on two notes. The first being, I wanna thank everyone that supported the show, whether with votes or just with your patience every time I was like, hey, do you wanna vote for me? After the first two pushes, it was even annoying for me. And secondly, I realized this morning that the acceptance speech that I had written, because I was scared that if we did win, I was gonna blank out on stage. I wrote it down. It actually works, win or lose, because it just serves as a way to say thank you to the people that I'm thankful to. And so if you wanna check that out, I link to it down below. But from that, I wanna share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome brought to you by Phil.Ting.com. Ting, of course, fantastic. Pay what you actually use, no BS fees, no sketchy admin charges, cell service. It's simple, they only charge you for what you use. It's $6 per device and taxes. Ting customers on average pay just $26 a month for their one device. So if you wanna check it out, like many from the nation already have, go to Phil.Ting.com. And the first bit of awesome is we got some badass trailers that have me so excited, both for a movie and a series. The movie is called Annihilation. It stars Natalie Portman, but here's the thing that it has me locked in. It was written and directed by Alex Garland. How can I say no to the guy that gave us Sunshine, highly underrated. 28 Days Later, Ex Machina, yes please. And then we got a trailer for Waco, which is going to be a 6-part series, all based on what happened in Waco, Texas back in '93. Then we got a brand new Meet Arnold, answering the question everyone's asked, what happens if you throw Arnold's in a microwave? Spoiler alert, it's not a good thing. Then we got an honest trailer for Star Trek The Next Generation, which actually, separate from this, does make me want to ask the question, is the new Star Trek good? Would you recommend it? Star Trek Discovery, are you on board? I haven't watched it yet. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. Then in huge international news, Saudi Arabia is now going to allow women to drive. Now I know to a lot of you listening, you're probably going, that's pretty fucking sad that is progress. But hey, for the area, a win is a win, and hopefully this continues the snowball. And how this happened is last night, Saudi Arabia's king issued a decree to allow women to drive. And this is a huge deal because Saudi Arabia, I mean, women have historically been, by most modern standards, oppressed in the country. For example, they have guardianship laws. These laws dictate much about a woman's life there. Depending on the circumstances, a woman needs to be accompanied by a male guardian. This is most often a husband, a father, sometimes a son, sometimes they have to get paid drivers. And this isn't just a small thing. Reportedly, there are around 600,000 drivers in the country that are used for this. For most most public activities, they need that guardian or at least a group of other women. Even some medical decisions need to be made by a guardian. And in line with the strict guardianship laws, women were not allowed to drive. And what was amazing, and I say amazing as in ridiculous, the excuses for not allowing women to drive were crazy. There were claims that men just wouldn't know how to handle it, would just blow their minds. This would be the breakdown of the Saudi family, and my personal favorite, and this is a real thing, the claim that driving would be dangerous to women's ovaries. And when I say women weren't allowed to drive, it's not like it was just frowned upon. Driving could land you in jail, you could lose your job. Also, all these years later, I have to just give respect to the women who first stood up for this right. In 1990, there was the first ever protest against the driving ban. 47 women took part in it and drove around the Capitol, all ended up getting arrested. I just want to point out that these women were badass motherfuckers. It's one thing to protest in America, and it's a whole other thing to protest in 1990 Saudi Arabia. You may tweet that you don't give a fuck. These women actually didn't give a fuck, or actually they gave so much of a fuck that they didn't care what was going to happen to them. They were going to protest this limp dick woman-hating law. And that original protest led to other protests throughout the years of women driving their cars, now filming themselves doing it. Now what's really interesting is despite Saudi Arabia's history here, the royal decree was very harsh in tone. The royal decree saying we take into consideration the pros of allowing women to drive and the cons of banning them from driving. They also referred to what the majority of the Council of Senior Scholars agreed on, which is that the original Islamic ruling in regards to women driving is to allow it, and that those who have opposed it have done so based on excuses that are baseless and have no predominance of thought. Or to paraphrase, if you don't think women should have the right to drive, you stupid. So starting June 24th, 2018, women will be officially allowed to apply for a license. And this is a huge deal because it also appears to affect guardianship laws. Reportedly, women will not need permission from a guardian here. They will be allowed to apply, receive, and drive without a guardian present. The king outlined that a committee will be formed in the next few days, and that committee will have 30 days to provide recommendations about how to handle this decree. And some of the things the committee has to consider. This means there will be roughly 7.5 million new drivers on the road. Police are also going to have to be retrained on how to deal with women. Men there rarely interact with non-related women in Saudi Arabia. And what's interesting is most people have been publicly for this. Now that's, I feel like I should maybe put a little asterisk on that. Part of that might be Saudi Arabia, despite it having a deeply conservative class of clerics, a lot of those top clerics are on the payroll of the Saudi government. And the Saudi government puts pressure on them to back the king or to be quiet. And additionally, prior to the announcement, the government reportedly arrested 24 clerics and academics who would be critical of this change. So why exactly are we seeing this change in Saudi Arabia? Well, a lot of it can most likely be attributed to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And that name might sound familiar because we've talked about this 32-year-old heir to the throne before. And the big reason why is for years he's outlined a plan on how to modernize Saudi Arabia. That, and in the past year, we've seen a big political shakeup where all of a sudden he has a lot of influence. And a lot of what he's talked about is how to modernize Saudi Arabia as far as the economy and society. When looking at the market, he seems aware that the oil can only take them so far for so long. And while allowing female drivers is a huge societal change for Saudi Arabia, it also might bring an economic boom. Reports say that there are many women capable of working who just refuse to do so because of the driving laws. This because in addition to it just being a ridiculous hurdle to have to go through, much of their salary is drained and it goes to the private drivers. That said, it will be very interesting to see how the economy is affected by those private drivers not being as needed. And so there you go. While I still obviously have many problems and concerns with Saudi Arabia, at least we get some change. And hopefully, like I said earlier, this is just the beginning of the snowball effect. Then let's talk about the really interesting Roy Moore and Luther Strange situation. This is a really weird and fascinating story. So in Alabama, there was a Republican runoff to find out who the Republican candidate would be to try and take Jeff Sessions' old seat. Jeff Sessions, of course, had to vacate that seat so he could be the Attorney General. Well, Donald Trump had been really pushing for Luther Strange, tweeting his support several times, saying, "Alabama, get out and vote for Luther Strange. He has proven to me that he will never let you down, MAGA. Big election tomorrow in the great state of Alabama. Vote for Senator Luther Strange. Tough on crime and border. Will never let you down. Luther Strange has been shooting up in the Alabama polls since my endorsement. Finish the job. Vote today for Big Luther." But ultimately, Luther Strange, the guy Trump backed, he lost. Moore won here, and he'll be a part of the special election against Democrat Doug Jones in December. Now, before all you Democrats start cheering, "Yeah, Trump's guy didn't win," let me talk about Roy Moore. Because while he may not have initially been Trump's guy, I imagine if you're a Democrat, you're not gonna like it. Roy Moore is a controversial former state Supreme Court justice. Some of his best hits include in 2005, he said that homosexuality should be illegal.
Because it's done behind closed doors, it can still be prohibited by state law. Do you know that bestiality, the relationship between man and beast, is prohibited in every state? Do you know that?
Did I ask you about having sex with a cow?
No, you didn't, but
or a horse?
It's the
or
same
a dog?
thing.
And to that, of course, people say, well, that was 2005, maybe he's changed his opinion on it. Well, to that I would say, we found a video, it has incredibly low views, but it is him from 2015, so here's that.
Do you still think that homosexuality should be illegal?
I think homosexuality should be illegal. Sodomy was declared illegal by the United States Supreme Court in 1987. It said there was no right under the Constitution to enlarge the fundamental rights of homosexuals.
In 2014, he reportedly wrote letters to all 50 state governors asking them to convene to ban gay marriage. Last September, he was actually suspended from Alabama Supreme Court. This for failing to comply with the federal Supreme Court's ruling around gay marriage. So just keep in mind, because Trump's guy lost, you didn't win. If anything, this proves that the anti-establishment mindset goes way further than Donald Trump. Luther Strange was supported by Mitch McConnell. He was supported by Donald Trump. There were millions of dollars thrown his way. And the people of Alabama decided, nah, we're good. We're gonna go with Roy Moore, though. Roy Moore was the Steve Bannon candidate. Steve Bannon even talking at his victory party. And it was Donald Trump who seemed to about face. Trump deleting those previous tweets of support for Luther Strange and then tweeting, "Congratulations to Roy Moore on his Republican primary win in Alabama. Luther Strange started way back and ran a good race. Roy, win in November." Although, as previously mentioned, it's in December, so then he deleted that tweet and then posted a new one. And really, I think in a small way, this confirms kind of what some people have been saying, and that is Donald Trump isn't the Republican candidate. Donald Trump is and has been the weapon of the anti-establishment voter. And while there will be a lot of people that follow him for the good, the bad, the ridiculous, especially when his opponent is a liberal, they in large know what they want and will do what they want. While that might give some Democrats hope that this is a fractured party, when it comes to them having a common enemy, they unite. At least that's my personal takeaway. And actually, I'll pass the question off to you, whether it be this last story, the first one, anything in between. What are your thoughts today? What are you thinking and why? Let me know in those comments down below. And remember, if you liked this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, you want to watch it, catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see today's brand new behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.